welcome to the Dundee Show podcast. Tonight I'm just on my own. There's no Kris or Brian. Jason's here because he's producing the show. I'm joined by the first woman who's ever been on the Dundee Show podcast as well, and it's a girl that I'm a massive fan of, who runs an independent brand in Dundee, which has been on the go since 2012 and growing, and I was a fan of it before we ever got speaking, but I'm glad to say she's my pal now. So we're going to try and sit and pick her brain and speak away. So this is Kerrie Aldo. Welcome to the Dundee Show podcast. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for having me here. Thanks for coming down, man. I plan on picking your brain on many a subject, and you do some amazing work, Kerrie. Some amazing work. I mean, we've got two jackets on display now. One of them is a custom piece that I had made. This is when me and you very first met, was it? Mm-hmm. In person.
Yeah.
And another jacket that was for the... What was this actually, sorry, again? A sample piece?
This was like an original sample for the V&A collaboration I'd done. So yeah, I ended up releasing that on my website for like an exclusive to my website.
So the collaboration was only 100 pieces made, was there?
The first one was 20.
20?
20 only, yeah. And then done the second collaboration, that was 40. So they were both really limited.
Very limited. Mm-hmm. Collectors love limited stuff, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. It was great to see, to be honest with you. The V&A is like a massive thing in Dundee. So it was great to see them like using a local girl and doing that. Well, the jackets were beautiful. I've got one of them in my wardrobe as well. But I'm going to start, we're just going to like go right back to the start. Because you came up on the same streets as me. You seen the same sort of vibe that I did. And I just want to pick your brain about how you came up and how this all started. So, where are you from?
Well, grew up in Lochee really, and then moved to Minas Hill. So that was like the main areas I grew up in. I would more say Lochee just because that's like your...
More Lochee affiliated.
Yeah.
So what school did you go to when you were there?
I went to Ancram Road, and then went to Harris.
Harris was quite a cool school. When I was back at school, right, Dundee, but this is like previewing all this stuff. I always said like the Kingsway like is a dividing line.
Yeah,
basically.
That's what we always said.
Yeah, well, it's like a dividing line. Like their interests are totally different.
Oh yeah, like me and my brother used to always say that it was like cars and dance music. And
yeah, that sounds like,
more indie at that time. I don't know. That's what we always thought.
It was more our side. I was at St John's, right? So that was Lochee affiliated as well. And that's where I started to see like the music side. The schools were different, that side. It was all like long hair, long coats, wallabies, that sort of vibe. Was that what you were seeing at Harris?
Yeah, a wee bit. But I don't know. See, when I was at Harris, like, I used to go about in my parka, and I was like, you weren't really meant to wear any other colours or that. So I was always getting in trouble for wearing that. Like, I just kind of kept to myself at school, to be honest.
Well, what sort of like music and everything were influencing you about that time?
Like, probably like, I don't know. I think like the first kind of that type of music I ever listened to was first the Beatles, probably. Like, that was through my brother. That was like the first thing, and then it kind of led on to like Stone Roses, and then that's kind of when all the indie bands and that were coming out, like even like Arctic Monkeys, Kings of Leon,
like 2005,
all that type of stuff. The View, like just basically anything indie that was going on at that time.
The Beatles and the Stone Roses is a good way to start. A very good way to start.
But like my uncle as well had a big influence on my music, and a wee bit my dad, but like my uncle used to always send us CDs and that, and then
what sort of stuff was he sending you?
He's got like a dead varied taste, but that's when I first got into Bob Dylan, was through him. So I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I quite like eclectic music taste, like ska and that as well. The Clash, that was all through my uncle really. Like my brother was more into like Ocean Colour Scene and the Blue Tones and stuff like that. So I kind of
went 90s like influence.
Yeah, so there was all the 90s stuff, obviously Oasis and that as well. But I kind of got into a wee bit of like ska, punk and stuff as well. So kind of band.
Yeah, just all the different like sort of areas. Mm-hmm. Ska for me, I never really got into ska till I went to see the Specials on like the 30th anniversary tour or something. That's where I sort of got into it, but But so like they were getting into ska, they were getting, well, they were Stone Roses and that. What age were you when The View like sort of popped off?
I think like the first View gig I went to, I would probably been about 15, 16 maybe.
So a good age to be about that time.
So it was at like, it wasn't the Doghouse, it was like a street behind, but there was a wee club there. Was it not called like the Cotton Club or like? Or it was called some, I can't even remember.
Was it on Session Street or was it?
I can't quite remember. It was in that area of town. The Cotton Club's definitely. I think that was the first one I ever went to, like a View gig. I remember we went to Westport before it, but I couldn't even get served in there because I was too young. Like, so I was just sitting there waiting. Then
what were those gigs like? They were like,
that gig was mental. Like everyone was on the floor and like,
the famous ones when they played The Rock and apparently the sinks got whipped off the wall.
I wasn't at that, but I heard.
So if you were 15, you would have been what, about like third year, fourth year, the time that's kicking off?
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
Inspirational time in Dundee's history, I would say. Would you say, well, that changed the town basically at the time, did it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
Even that half of the Kings we were talking about, they were coming to gigs and everybody was like...
To be honest, that's probably like, not The View specifically, but going to gigs. Like, I remember I left school in like 5th year, but I was always into art, like it was never closed. But when I started going to gigs, like I was always interested in what people were wearing. And like that's when I actually started trying to make myself stuff. Didn't even know how to make clothes, but I would just get a top and get a bit of fabric and cut around it. Like I wanted to wear something different and nobody was wearing. That's kind of where I started.
Basically.
Well, not really. Just like, I don't know. Like people used to make an effort to go to gigs.
Yeah, like, definitely.
Like being a wee bit different. And
so this is where it started for you then.
Yeah, I would say that's like where like the first ever time like I actually attempted to make someone was to wear to a gig. Like,
what gig was this?
I don't know, just someone at the Doghouse. So we used to be there about 3-4 times a week.
Probably like Thursday to Sunday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What did you make to go to this gig then?
I'd be embarrassed probably to see it now. Just like probably like there's two I remember, but nothing anything like what I would make now.
I think everybody who looks at their craft, like who does well in their craft, will look back at their first creation and they just don't want to talk about it basically.
Yeah, like I don't have it anymore. Like
you don't even remember what it is, no?
Well, there was one that was blue, but it was nothing. There was nothing like I wouldn't want to show off for that.
Well, this is how this journey all started with this one piece basically. Well, not with this one piece, but this is the starting point.
Yeah, well, that's how like. But I still wasn't thinking like fashion or anything. Like I wanted to go to uni and do art. Like that's what I was trying to do. And then I went to college, and like you kind of got a wee taster of fashion and textiles, and that's kind of when I made the change.
Textiles and that.
Because like by that point, that's like I'd tried to make myself a couple of stuff and just wanted to learn more about it, I suppose.
I think it's cool how you said like it started we're going like to gigs, right? Because I became aware of your brand from coming to gigs. Specifically, I said to you the white label. It's like it's what you call it, a grassroots sort of thing. Like it's a classic. The nostalgia is a big part of like everything to do with this podcast. Basically, everybody goes on nostalgia, and a part of nostalgic part of it would be that people used to go on the streets, they would see a brand, they didn't know what it was, and they would see people wear it, that sort of thing, and then you would need to know. And I remember the first time like seeing all these clean cut, like sort of wax cotton coats, and it was the label that would always catch my eye, because I was like, what the fuck is that?
I think early on as well, like if anyone's seen someone else wearing it, it was like, I'd always hear back about it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I seen like 2 or 3 and I'm just like, what? It was Paddy Brown who told me what it was. It was Paddy Brown, my mate, who told me what it was. He was like, that's Kerrie Aldo's coats. Because everyone you were seeing, it was clean cut and it was just, the colours were, you know what I mean? It caught my eye straight away and I was like, that's the way a brand should like come up. That's the way I seen it. So I think it's really cool. That's how you started it.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I think like, see at the start, everyone's like, what did you start with coats for? I'm like, because that's what I'm interested in. Like, especially at that time, there was loads of stuff popping up, like putting a print on a jumper or like stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. Like I'm interested in the details and the making of it and that. So yeah, But that's what
you're
people always
you're multi like versed in what you do. You do kids' clothes. You can do stuff for women, obviously, as well. You make some outstanding jackets. You make well, you'd be better telling it than me. What exactly? You're very well multiverse. Let's say.
Yeah, well, it started with like I focused on menswear really, like when it ended up at uni. But like when it started, I'd made like Dale like a coat because it was his birthday, and probably because I was skint, to be honest. Like between third and fourth year at uni, I'm like, I'll make him something like not really thinking it. Yeah. And I used like bought fabric, and then I used like an old. I was quite interested in like repurposing stuff at that point. I used like an old shirt to line the hood, and there was like all the buttons up it and all the details and stuff. So I just started posting that online, and people started asking. So it was more menswear I started, but then there was women asking as well. So kind of became that. Was like that's where it launched. Like when I launched the website, it was men's and women's wear, and then it was more because people were asking about kids stuff and that, because a lot of kids' clothes are just a bit daft. Like they're blue or they're pink, or they've got like people want to maybe have something that's more their style.
Yeah,
for their kids. So that's kind of how that came about. The
kid's jacket that pops in my head is my mate's kid, wee Joey Kimmett. He was kicking about in a Kerrie Aldo paisley pattern cut on the inside. It was cool as fuck.
The paisley's been like a big feature in some of them.
Timeless.
So yeah, and then like I did do t-shirts like and to do like wee accessories and stuff, but that's more to kind of have like a broader range and have some more accessible stuff in the range. But I don't make anything I don't like making, basically. So.
You've got to like what you're doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or then it really does become a job.
Yeah, because I get some requests now and again, and I'm like, I just say no. If it's not something I'm interested in, I just say.
If you give people creative control, they go a bit mad sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people understand that like there's a process and it takes like it's a craftsmanship, and I think when I said my jacket is here, this is a one-of-one Kerrie Aldo custom piece, and when I worked out, if I remember correctly, because obviously like I said I was a big fan of your work. I'm sure you followed me on Instagram, and then I messaged you straight away, did I? And said I want a coat made.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked actually, because I think I'd put something about trainers up, but I hadn't followed your page yet. And I was just chatting to some like customer or somebody that followed us and chatting about stuff. And then the next thing we were chatting, so.
Well, honestly, what? I hardly ever pay attention to what's going on Instagram, right? But I seen the name in the feed. I see the Kerrie Aldo followed you, so boom, followed right back. And I was like, I want a coat. Straight away, I want a coat. And to my point that I was going at is I believe you should give the artist or the designer or whatever would go in this category more creative control to get like the better outcome, the better finish. Like I sent you a couple of photos of stuff that I thought was cool, but I just said, look, just do your thing, man. And you were there when you handed me the piece. You seen my face, you know what I mean? I've been seen wearing that jacket many a time. So what college were you at?
I went to Dundee College.
Is this the one at the Kingsway, or?
It was at Gardyne at the time, like Gardyne.
I'm sure my age. I like that wasn't even the goal.
Ignore that. No, Graham Street.
Oh, old school.
Yeah.
I used to drink in there when I was a kid.
Did you?
Right in the back. That was like,
yeah, that was. I loved it there. Like, yeah,
that was the art one, was it?
Yeah,
that was the art college. So it was
just all the art courses there. Like, I had friends that were there doing all different stuff. Yeah, like I said, went there to basically didn't have higher English, and because I left in fifth year, like the reason I had to go to college was to try and build a portfolio, because I wanted to do fine art basically, and had to get higher English to get into uni. That was kind of the plan, and then ended up doing fashion and textiles after that portfolio thing.
You were more into fashion and didn't know it at the time before this decision, or was it just like spontaneous? It happened and it was just you went with it?
No, like I say, it kind of ran through. Like I was always interested in. I'm not interested in fashion shows or like stuff like that really.
You want to make stuff that you're into?
Yeah. I suppose like the music thing rang through it, 'cause like at school and that, I was always kind of wanting to wear a bit more indie kind of style stuff. But
that was the end thing where like back.
Like I didn't really think much of it at that time. But yeah, I think it was like once I got hands-on experience, like using fabrics and that, and actually making that.
You find when you're working, you find what sort of styles like you think maybe go best and what you like. Yeah.
I remember because there was like a textiles specific course and then there was a fashion, and the tutor was like, "Are you sure you mean fashion?" But I was like, "Yeah, like I want to actually make the clothes. I'm not bothered about. Well, not that I'm not bothered about the fabric, but I'm not bothered about like printing flowers on a fabric or like embellishing it with beads or that type of stuff, which is
outlandish sort of things, yeah.
Yeah, can't really like pinpoint a moment where I was like,
that's what the style I'm going with.
Yeah, and even when I was doing it, like I didn't know where it was going to lead or what.
I think you've got to go with like, see, like I think that works great for you. I think like the stuff you make is cool as fuck. I love it. I love to see what you're doing, especially the custom coats. I love it. For example, the best example I could give is like Cammy, my mate with the tattoo, and he was just strictly set on he wanted to do black work, and that's all he wanted to do. And he said on this podcast actually at the time, he says that at the start it like took a wee bit of adjustment period, but eventually then he was just creatively doing everything he wanted to do. So I think you need to focus on stuff like that you want to do.
Yeah. Like probably earlier on when I just started, there's a few things that I maybe took on thinking, don't know what's next and this, that and the next thing. But then at a certain point I was like, no, like it doesn't matter. I'm not doing certain things. I'm just focusing on
what you want to do.
I want to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sweet. You got to do it like that. That's a boss attitude as well. So after like, so you went to Dundee College and then you went and done textiles, is that right?
I went to uni after and done. Is that what you mean? Yeah. No, there was this course. To be honest, I didn't look into uni or nothing like that. I knew about like Duncan and Jordanson and Dundee, like the art course there. That's originally what I wanted to do. But then when I started doing fashion, I didn't know what was after college. Like there was people in my class like going on about applying. I was like, I've not got a clue what that is. I've never heard of that, like that uni or nothing. But it was a course called Fashion Design for Industry. So it was more tailored to like, it was dead different from college. It was more like a lot of online like digital designing and you'd done a lot of making as well, but yeah, it was different. It was more geared towards like getting a job in the industry, working for
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a cool way to describe it, because I don't think they actually teach people how to go and like do something themselves. I think like the schools and that train people to like you know what I mean. That's how sort of like built up.
That is what I was geared towards. But
so then, well, you went through there, and then how did you end up working with Hayley Scanlon then?
I can't remember. Like just basically about the time I finished uni, she was basically had just launched her brand or was about to launch her brand. I think like that same summer. Yeah, so I finished uni in 2012 and I think she officially launched her brand like later that year, but she was kind of working towards the launch already.
Getting ready for it.
Yeah.
She's great to get, like, she's a big deal in Dundee nowadays, isn't she?
Yeah.
Especially she's on Netflix and stuff. So yeah, it's like, I imagine learning like going to work with her would have been.
Yeah, it was good. Like we had a great laugh. Like still good pals with Hayley now. But yeah, I started like basically doing a day a week and was working in a wee cafe. Like finished uni, I was like, what am I going to do? Started working with Hayley. Wanted to do my own stuff, so I think I had like one day a week do my own stuff. I done the day with Hayley, and then had that wee cafe.
What cafe was that?
I'm not telling you. No.
That's all good. It's all good. Like so, yeah, you were one day a week with Hayley, a couple of days with the cafe. Is that right?
Yeah, and
one day yourself. So
yeah,
you're just doing this at home at the time.
Yeah, I was just doing it at my mum's house, just like in the spare bedroom.
What sort of stuff were you making about this time?
Coats.
Just coats?
Yeah, just coats.
Just coats. Was it all like wax cotton? Has that always been your sort of like the vibe you've stuck to?
I think one of my like that first ever coat wasn't wax cotton. It was like just a navy cotton and it had a bit of cord. But the first wax cotton coat I made, I think like at the start that was when there was more requests for that, I would say.
So fit the indie look very, very well, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the start I would say it was mostly wax coats. Well, it still is, to be honest. But yeah, so I was doing that, working for Hayley. I ended up managing to drop the cafe job and get a wee bit more work with Hayley. So I was just doing Hayley stuff. And then
your own
I had
stuff.
a wee bit more time on my own. And then it just kind of gradually like got a bit busier, and like I worked for Hayley probably a few years, at least a couple of years.
I bet you were very handy for an employee for her.
Yeah, I liked working there. Like,
It's making a lot more women stuff, that, is it? I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, all women stuff. But it was just a good laugh, to be honest. And I like making stuff, so
you were in your element.
I was doing making and pattern designing, and like doing the patterns that you cut the clothes from, which nobody really knows about.
I've seen them before, it's like templates and all this stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen it. I don't really. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle to me.
Yeah, kind of is, basically.
Try to put that together and stuff. Yeah, cool. So, man. Yeah. I'm learning myself. Like, what was the name of that?
We call it a pattern.
Just a pattern. Is it as simple as that? Yeah. Fair enough. So, right, okay. So about this, so like your brand's starting to you're starting to do more and more. People are starting to see it. More and more requests are coming in. Was this like on like social media? Social media starting to take off? Was it like people messaging you there?
Kind of word of mouth and social media.
Word of mouth as well. So people just getting in touch with you, like on.
Like I had like just like a Hotmail email address.
All right, okay.
People would email us. I think like I had, they'd probably got it on Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
Humble beginnings then.
Yeah, but like at the very start, it was usually people I knew, and then it was people I didn't know, but like for maybe people like kind of still knew them a wee bit, and then gradually kind of got off that.
Sweet. So let's talk about that OG orange label, original Kerrie Aldo label then. Because I always knew it as the white one. I only found out tonight that there was an original different coloured one.
Yeah, well, the original one was like an orange leather. So just with the name on it. Like
but was your full name, was it?
Yeah. But I just knew I didn't want to call it that. Like that was kind of before I'd kind of established the name and stuff. But there's probably like between 10 and 20 jackets out there that's got that on it.
Did you ever get called Aldo, or did Aldo come from your brother?
No, that was from my brother and my dad as well.
Your dad got called Aldo as well?
Yeah.
So I met your brother and knew him. I just remember years ago he had the long hair and stuff, and I was like, who's that? My mate Dolan knew him. He's like, that's Aldo. Mm-hmm. I just always remembered.
Yeah, so that's kind of how the logo was designed, because I don't know if everyone's going to know what a Menchie is if they're not from Dundee.
Yeah. Well, Dundee
that was his Menchie. Like, well, that's where I got that's where I got like the Aldo part, and then I just joined up with my name.
Was that his? Was that?
Yeah.
Well, I never knew that. Was it?
So, not a lot of people do know that, to be honest.
Yeah, this was the makeup of the actual. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's got the coats or goes online or sees even seen me in it, because loads of people have asked me when I've been photoed in that, just like, where'd you get your coat from? That's just the classic 101, mate. You're not getting one.
That's the worst thing about doing customs. Like, whenever I post a photo one, everyone's like, I want to buy that, or like, can you make? I'm like,
see, well, you know what you did.
It's good that people like it, but it's annoying.
It's a nightmare explaining it to people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally understand.
Or
that.
If people have just followed it because they've seen a new one, Then they're like, I can't see that on the website or whatever else. I'm like,
it's hard to explain, but you know what? It's such a cool. This is what I love about it. It's such a cool thing, and
it's not really like the norm, I suppose. So
it really
like,
isn't. No, no. You know what? Me personally, I'm that sort of person that I wanted something different that nobody's going to be kicking about in. I've seen a few close variations, but nothing like exact. You know what I mean? Everything's always going to be different, and I'm just sitting looking at that quote. I love that quote. It's one of my favourite quotes. But I did not know that's how the label was put together. That was really cool. Really, really cool.
I had like a friend helping us. She was like a graphic designer, but I feel like it kind of lost the original like feel of it. Like started looking a wee bit too like text, if you know what I mean. So I ended up like, I've not got a clue about graphics or anything like that, but I ended up doing it myself on like, I basically just drew out the logo. I actually found the notebook with the original drawing of it like last week or something. Somebody in my studio was slagging us for having a diary from like 2000 and whatever. But then I flicked through it and I had like old sketches and then that logo, and it's like I've drew loads of times and
trying to get it right. Yeah, well, that's really cool. I love keeping stuff like that.
Yeah.
As you look back and yourself, you knew that was the very first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it came about.
So that was, you said to me you'd done about 10 quotes before this label came on.
Yeah, probably about that. Yeah.
So there's 10 quotes with this original orange label. Do you have one?
See what comes of it.
So you're going it yourself, right? So about 2015, you're on your own. You're in the big bad world, you're going for it. How did you end up in Leeds, actually?
That was more because like I'd probably left, I don't know how long I'd been doing it solo by then, but it was just, that was all I was doing at that point, and it was more like my partner got a job there, and I actually didn't realise he'd applied for a job in Leeds.
Did you not tell me?
Do you know what, we went to, no, he didn't, he said he thought the interview was in Leeds, but that this is a mentor. They had a Glasgow office, so he thought, they must hold all the interviews in Leeds.
Well, just bypass Glasgow for a few hours.
Got the train there and back in one day, and then like the week later or something, he was like, "Well, I've got a job in Leeds, by the way." So but there was like a bit of time. There was like, the job didn't start for like 6 months, so we had a bit of time to kind of figure it out. And then we had something on in Manchester like the summer before we were meant to be moving. So it was the Stone Roses when they went to Etihad, I think.
Oh, yeah, the 5-night show. I was there on the Wednesday.
I can't remember what day. I think we were the Saturday. Anyway, we thought we'll go to Manchester and we'll head over to Leeds, see what it's all about, and quite liked it. I managed to kind of see a studio space in that when we were there. So we just thought we'll give it a go, see. So
how long were you there for?
Nearly 5 years, about 4.5 years, 5 years.
During this time that you're away, like Dundee is supporting by wearing the brand, you know what I mean? Just like you're seeing it more and more and more. That's got, I didn't know you were there for 5 years. Yeah. I didn't even know why you were there. I just knew you were there. But yeah,
so yeah.
So when did you go down there?
About 2016.
2016. And you had to get yourself your own studio down there and stuff. What does it consist of, like an actual studio for you to work in?
Basically just getting a space, to be honest.
How many sewing machines do you need?
Well, like when I moved to Leeds, I didn't have anyone working for us at all. So only really needed one. And then now we've got about 5 or something.
5 different ones. You got a favourite?
I still mainly work on like my first ever industrial machine. I don't know why. Like I don't put anyone else on it because like nobody else can get used to it because it's so old. Like
the guy, like a big singer or something.
Yeah, the guy who serviced it said it's like from the 60s.
I've got a post bed machine that I've been trying to get fixed for about 2 years, man. Because I just do not want to pay $3,500 for one of those things.
Yeah, it's hard to get somebody to service.
Oh, it's a dying trade.
Yeah,
everybody
but
always just says to me. It was fine in Leeds
because there was a guy like who done it, who was in Leeds, because obviously there's still a wee bit more textile stuff. Like that was like the soot capital of the world or something.
Yeah, it's like an industrial. Yeah, that is England. That part of England is an industrial bit.
Yeah, there's still more like I think like Birmingham and what do you call it? Leicester.
Fast fashion is a problem, is it?
Big problem, yeah.
Big problem, yeah. Do you want us to like say anything on that? Be better coming for you than it would me.
Yeah. Well, get us going. Maybe say like ask us.
What do you believe? What damage is it doing to the planet?
I don't even know where to start, to be honest. Honestly, I could talk about this for hours. I think like people are more aware now. Like, see when I started making stuff, I became more aware of like the work that goes into something. So I was interested in like fast fashion from that perspective of like who's actually making your clothes. Like,
yeah.
So I've always been into that since I started making clothes, but I think more recently, people are more aware of what's actually happening to their clothes and what fabrics they're made of. Like there's big scandals all over the world, basically, of how damaging it is. Don't know what to depress you. Like going any further.
No, you'll be educating a lot of people on it, to be fair. It's not really a subject that I feel that I could like heavily update people on and say it right, but I know that fast fashion is a major problem.
I wouldn't say like it's specifically a women's wear problem, but I think there's more like people know more about it, but maybe turn a blind eye or something. Like there seems to be a bigger divide between like the biggest fast fashion companies are getting bigger, but also more people are getting interested in like handmade and like quality made clothes as well. But it's all for some of it, I think, is to do with
it goes to the thing that everybody's wearing the same stuff usually. Like even the sites now, they're all polluted with the same stuff.
Yeah.
The high streets are dying, there's no any shops and the thing. Like what was something too cheesy, man? The world needs people like you to go and do your own thing and give people a different option, you know what I mean? Like really badly. Really, really badly, or it's going to be at the point where everybody's going about looking the same. Yeah.
But I think like the problem with fast fashion as well is like people just throw it away, like because there's no value in it at all. Like it just, some of it genuinely falls apart after you've wore it for a week or something. Some of it doesn't, but if you've got like a low value on it, you don't care if you're just going to throw it out, like if you get a wee scratch on it or whatever like that.
Well, me personally, I've never really liked or even showed any sort of any support to anybody who likes like Primark, stuff like that. You know what really annoyed me about COVID and stuff was seeing all these lines of the people standing outside Primark waiting to get in at 6 in the morning and stuff. I was like, where's your support to the local businesses like that?
Yeah, it's mental.
It's like this went on for weeks. So like, they had all the stickers outside Primarks for people to stand 2 meters apart and all this stuff.
Yeah, it could go like both ways because like, but I don't know, people keep bringing the argument like, well, it's not affordable for everyone to get handmade clothes or whatever like that. But the reality is like most people or the majority of people that are buying fast fashion, they're buying like hundreds of stuff. Like it's not because they need it, if you know what I mean.
Girls' fashion is a lot cheaper than guys, I would say, like a lot cheaper. It's a lot more, that's fast fashion, as you would say, is like a lot more accessible to girls who can get like, say like 3 t-shirts for £10. That sort of thing. Whereas a guy's usually going to be paying between £20 to £30 for a t-shirt, depending on what brand they want to buy or whatever. But girls can go out, like say, like it'll cost for me to get an outfit to go out. Just me personally, you're talking maybe, I don't know, averaging maybe 200 for a top. If you want a pair of jeans or shorts, maybe again up to the £100 mark and whatever trainers you got on. Whereas a girl could go out and get like God knows how many outfits for that price. We're talking like what, maybe £400 or £500 for one outfit.
Oh God, I could jump all over the place with the fast fashion subject.
What annoys you most about it
then? Well, more recently, it's more like the greenwashing side of it, which is like basically when fast fashion brands pretend that they're more eco-friendly. Like they'll say it's made of recycled bottles or something like that. When like there's been reports that companies are actually using raw like new materials to make bottles to recycle into fabric, so they could say it's recycled. So
wow, really?
Yeah. So it's all about like marketing to them, really. So yeah, that's frustrating when you're actually trying. Well, I'm trying to do something that's quite genuine, I would say. But and it's just it's mental.
What were you saying? Like, see, well, you're doing genuine. Like describe what you mean by that.
No, I mean that.
So people understand what you mean.
I've got a genuine interest in making like better quality clothes that are going to last, and trying to use better fabrics when possible, like not plastics and stuff like that. But that's something that is more conscious of, like in the last few years.
It's a happy movement just now, is it?
Yeah, but I think it's kind of a lot of it's for show. I think it's more like because people are more conscious. Certain brands would like to show that they're, but they're not really.
Yeah,
basically. But
yeah, you know, like the plastic situation. You've got like Adidas now. They're making like shoes out of plastic taken from the ocean. You know, like all this like recycle vibe.
Yeah,
I can see what you mean by like that. It's that would be annoying if you were in the industry that you were in.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think, like, I hate fast fashion, but I don't really think that a lot of people who like my stuff are into that anyway, so I don't feel like I'm fighting against that, really. It's
not in the market you would be in, you think?
It's not, yeah, but it does annoy me as well.
Yeah, it's all right.
Just because it's just garbage, like, it's just crap clothing.
Go on, Kerrie, let it loose, man. Just go for it. You're allowed to swear.
Yeah. No, you've made us go back.
It's a cultural hub nowadays. I don't really fully understand it. Was it Victoria and what? What does the V&A stand for again?
Victoria and Albert.
Is that what it is? But you've went in, you've done some work and things. What was that like? Did they phone to get a collaboration with you?
Well, actually, like how it came about was the supplier of the fabric I use.
That's that Hayley Stevenson.
Hayley Stevenson, yeah. So, obviously got to know the people who work there, and they got in touch basically with me originally and said, there's a possibility of something coming up, like, we'd like to put you forward for it, sort of thing, to check if I was interested. And I was like, well, definitely be interested in hearing more, like what it's going to be, or but actually, so I went in to meet just them originally. So this was like, I think it was like the start of 2020, like
before COVID.
Yeah, didn't want to say COVID, that. Yeah. So I went in and had a meeting with a couple of the people there. I just kind of put like forward my thoughts or what it would be. There was like a few ways how it could have played out, basically. And I said, basically, I would be interested if it was, because there was they were just trying to figure out how to do it. Yeah.
So what did they propose to you? Like, was it you that had to say I want to do the jackets?
Well, they wanted to do like a raincoat, and I thought, well, if it's going to be me doing it, I want it to be more my style of coat. I think they had in their head more like something a bit more traditional. But I was like, I was kind of thinking, they kind of left it quite open, to be honest. The brief was just like they wanted to
make a raincoat,
and they had like a price point in mind, and there was an option of like designing it and getting it made, and I was like, well, that's the opposite of what I do. So if I'm involved, then I'm wanting to have it made in my studio, and stick to like the values of what my brand's all about. So
yeah, sweet.
So to be honest, they just like, yeah. So that was like the original meeting was with Hallie Stevenson's, and then they had a meeting planned with the V&A. I actually found out after that originally the V&A had came to them and they wanted like just a small like wax cotton food wrap or something daft like that. Well, I couldn't say daft, but it was not.
Yeah,
like I don't know how it ended up. Yeah, so I don't know the story of why.
That sounds a lot cooler than a food wrap.
Yeah, why it turned into a coat, but obviously that was up my street. So, yeah, they went and met with the V&A, and then we was meant to have like a proper meeting with everyone, like the April where it all kicked off. I thought this is where it go down the toilet, like this is not going to happen. But then they just moved it online, the meeting, and then they said, right, just make a sample and
send it to them,
and we'll take it from there. I just showed them the sample over Zoom, and I was like pacing up and down before it. I was like, because I kind of went a wee bit off.
This is when COVID just hit, is it, with the April?
No, I'd went a wee bit off the brief, but I was like, I need to stick to like my own style. Like the brief was a wee bit loose, but I had it in my head. I was like, they're going to say that this is not for the V&A.
If you're doing it, you got to do it. Like
yeah,
you would do it.
Exactly. So before it, I was like, obviously we were stuck in the house. I was saying to Dale, I was like, if they don't like it, then that's it. I'm walking away. Like, I don't know. I had it in my head that that wasn't going to suit the V&A for some reason. Like, I don't know why.
I think that's just like paranoia doing something, right? But at the end of the day, if they're coming to you, they should be getting a Kerrie Aldo coat.
Yeah.
And that's what they got, you know what I mean? So
yeah. So I don't know. It was probably just
nerves.
I don't know. But anyway, like I kind of done some photos so I could show them. This is all through like a screen when I was in Leeds, basically.
And you still Leeds in this point? Yeah.
And then loved it. Like they didn't have any bad. I was like, I can't believe this. So basically said like, let's just go ahead. The museum wasn't even open at the time, so they didn't know when it was going to be open. They just said like, let's just push this forward, and we'll kind of keep like checking in and seeing what the plans is for opening and stuff like that.
Because at this point, no one knew what was going on. Yeah.
No. So yeah, that's basically how that came about. Yeah.
I'm not even thinking there was pictures of you in the coat outside the V&A in the rain.
Don't know if it was raining, but I think
I just had that bit on. Did I?
Yeah, there was photos of me outside the V&A.
I just thought I was in the rain for some reason. What?
Oh no, can't remember.
That was cool for that. Was it Hallie Stevenson? That was cool for them to put you forward for it. Was it the last cotton wax mill or something?
Well, they're definitely the oldest. Yeah, like I think it's like 18 something. It dates back to.
I've seen other designers use them because they usually get tagged. I only became aware of them because like you were tagging them and stuff. That's how I became aware of it. But I've seen there's a brand I'm a fan of that's called Yarmouth Oilskins. They use them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite cool to be honest because like there's loads of big brands and even loads of like independent brands that do work with their fabrics, so it was quite cool to be asked.
Yeah, for them to put you forward for that was really cool, man.
But yeah, that was more the in rather than like I didn't really have a connection with the V&A at that point. It was just.
It was good to see the V&A were using a local girl for it. You know what I mean? Fully supported it. I loved the labels. Was it the labels? Remember you showed me that had like the old mill? Was it an old mill or something in that? Yeah.
So that was like the second edition.
Right. So this wasn't the first one, though.
No. So the first one did have like an original label. And it had like the number 1 of 20 on it, and each one had like embroidered on the pocket what number it was as well.
That's a lot of work.
So yeah, that was.
And what did the second one have? The label that?
So yeah, it had like an original archive image from when Hallie Stevenson was like a mill, like way back in the day. Right, so that was kind of where.
Yeah, that label was cool. Mm-hmm. I loved that. The second I seen it.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
Yeah. And there was 40 of those jackets, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've made jackets for the likes of Mr. Kel Faulkner who's let's say a musical legend in Dundee. What did you make for him?
I think like I've made a few things for him.
Dungarees sprung on my mind for some reason.
I think like the dungarees is the stuff people know because it was so a wee bit out there. Like
Kale style's out there, is it?
Yeah. So the first thing I made for him was actually a black wax coat with red tartan lining. And I think I actually made his daughter a matching one. I don't know if it was at the same time or if I've done it after, but that was the first one. And then I think the dungarees came about. I can't remember if it was when he was doing his own stuff or if it was like the 10-year view thing. It was either one of them. That's when he got in touch and said like, could you make this? Like I ended up meeting him to chat about it, and I think like I actually had a pinafore on. He liked like the pocket design and that, but he was like, what about dungarees? Like that's what he had in his head. So I was like, yeah, let's go.
What colour was it again? I remember
they were like
the dungarees.
A bright yellow dungarees.
Bright yellow. Oh, yeah, I remember it now.
So yeah, I think that was the view, like the 10-year anniversary tour. I can't quite remember.
For the hats off to the buskers, I just remember something about that.
I think it was for that. And then I've made him a few other bits and pieces as well. A
few jackets and that.
Yeah.
You've also made, you're making stuff for Cy Ferry as well, who's he's doing well on his podcast, which is Open Goal, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been seeing your stuff as well. Is there anybody else? Anybody like, apart from just the local boys kicking about, the local children, the local girls? What about Leeds? How did Leeds react? Were they buying your stuff?
Yeah, Leeds, like, to be honest, I would say like more Manchester and stuff like that, or like kind of surrounding. Like I do have customers in Leeds, but it's not like any different than anywhere else, I wouldn't say.
Manchester would feel like more of a hub for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Definitely would.
Yeah. But no, I do have like customers in Leeds and that. But I don't know, like I feel like that's where it took the business up a level, definitely.
Down Leeds?
Yeah. But I didn't really do that many events or like stuff down there, to be honest. So I just kind of got on with it in the studio, basically.
You grafted away in the studio. I've seen you. Well, actually, like customers like at Manchester. Now, where's the furthest away you've sent a Kerrie Aldo piece?
I sent to like Australia, New Zealand.
You don't really get much further than Australia, do you?
Canada as well. Australia's always a weird one because everyone thinks, what are you needing a jacket over there for? But obviously they get. I've never been to Australia.
It cools down eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like Scotland as well.
So, yeah.
Australia's that's what is that? The other side of the world, man. That's amazing. They bought more than one thing.
No, I don't think so. Just
the one jacket.
Well, like there's been a few over there.
Well, if you're listening, buy more. Is there any sort of custom thing that you want to make? Is there anything in your head, like, see when I'm trying to do something, like someone eats away at me for fucking ages until I get it done, and you'll pick apart that design for until you get it done, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've always kind of wanted to do like a collection of one-off pieces, but I've just never find the time. Like I would need to properly block out time to do it. I thought, like, see when COVID started, I thought I brought all my fabrics, as much as I could kind of bring home. I brought everything home and I thought, this way it'd be dead. I'm just way to crack on and like make loads of brilliant custom like kind of custom, but one off.
Make stuff that you want to make. Because when you make custom pieces, you're here to make basically sort of here to make to cater for somebody else.
Yeah. So I have always wanted to do that, but I've just never had the time really. Yeah.
So what do you want to make? Imagine this is your studio. This is your studio, and you're just the way to crack on and do it. And you're just like, what is the idea that's in your head?
I've got those ideas. Obviously, always interested in pockets and that, so always want to create new variations or new details and stuff like that.
First custom piece that you made that you thought, you know what, that is a piece. I'm proud of that.
I don't know, to be honest, it's like each one's different. The last best one. Sometimes well, not quite, but like originally when I started it, basically everything was one off because like that's just the way it was to begin with. That was kind of how it started, and then because there was more demand, I brought in like a ready to wear, like still mainly made to order, but set design that you could buy that exact design. So
you would need someone for your website because it would be a bit more like you can't just custom pieces.
Yeah, so
you need someone for people to buy.
So wait, what did you ask for the best custom?
No, the first custom that you made that you were probably taken back and thought, that is, you know what, I'm proud of myself on that one.
Don't know, to be honest. Sometimes I've done quite a lot now, so I have to be reminded of it and think.
Well, the ones that spring in my head, I've met Tony Tonker before. He loves that hacienda jacket you made for him.
Yeah, I think that's his favourite one. But actually, the first one I made for him has probably been up there with one of my favourites. It was like...
Is it a white one?
No, his first one was like... He actually came to the studio in Leeds.
Dead nice guy.
Yeah. So the first one was like... that was like the word of mouth thing, because he'd seen it from a guy from Motherwell, who'd came to one of my pop-ups in Edinburgh, got measured up for a coat. I think that's where he did it. So it's funny how you figure out how's like...
Yeah, how it's getting about the grapevine.
So, because he's based near Manchester, he drove through to Leeds, and ended up coming up with like... He tried a couple of things on, and like we ended up doing like 3 colours, like that colour, khaki, a tan, and then like there was details of camo, so it was quite different, like using the 3 different fabrics, and like all the wee intricate details and stuff like that. So that probably would stand out as
one of your favourites.
One of them, yeah.
And this is like one of the first ones that stood out for you like that.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
There's more to follow. There's a lot more jackets.
Yeah.
One that stood out that I remember is another boy that I know very well, David Dick. He got you to make a smock as well. I'm sure that was white, blue and red, was it?
Yeah, that's been another like more standout one. Yeah. But some of them I think you can't always appreciate just in a photo because you're not seeing it up close and you're not seeing the stitch.
Oh, definitely.
Like especially when it's one colour, because you're not seeing like
the
stitching or the function of it.
The one I seen you do the other day had was it a tweed cut off sort of on the pockets, the overflap?
Was that like the 3 colour as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was like a couple of months back. Yeah, there was tweed. That's the first time I've used tweed.
Because I've never really seen you like do that. I'm going to speak to you about this one. This one's a bad boy. I liked it as well. Is that a brown or is that a khaki green?
Like a tan, like similar probably to the inside colour.
It's got a paisley part inside for the hood. That is a lovely jacket. I love how the pocket unzips here as well. Proper like army style. Let's see now.
You would actually like that because the boy who ordered it, he got in touch and he actually had the idea like the pocket. Like he'd done this wee sketch, but I was like, that doesn't work in my head. Like I understand you. Like he was trying to explain what he wanted the pocket to be, and he actually said, he wanted it so that when he was rolling, it would catch all the bits. Like I don't know. That was basically how that pocket came about. But he'd drawn this sketch about it being curved and this and that. I'm like.
It's a mad thing, but the outcome's really cool.
I'm like, well, this is how I would imagine it doing it. So that's how that pocket came about, basically. So that was like designed for that coat.
That's a really cool pocket. Was you going to use it again?
Well, like that was one of these ones where everyone was like, oh, I need to get that coat. I need to get that coat. So I wouldn't replicate it, but I would imagine somebody will ask for that style of pocket again.
You should probably do a coat like that and make like maybe 20 of them, something like that. Because you'd like feed to that demand, you know what I mean? I'm not kidding. If that came up and they said there was 20 of them, I would probably buy it as well. I generally would, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, maybe someone for you to entertain to do it, you know? Only you will know how much time you've got on your hands to actually do something like that.
Yeah.
Is there anybody, if you could pick any sort of, let's say, a celebrity or anybody who's been an influence in your life to wear your clothes, who would you pick?
Don't know, that's a hard one. I don't know. I've probably thought about it before, but...
Did you come up on the Libertines or anything like that?
Yeah, I was picking the Libertines, but
I remember
I can't really see, like...
Pete Doherty kicking about that.
I just don't think it's his, like...
Do you see how fat he's got nowadays?
Yeah.
Great hair and everything. He looks mad, does he?
Yeah.
What about Ashcroft?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's more like I could just see him in a leather jacket more. Like I would probably have said Ian Brown or he's went a wee bit off the rails, I think.
Oh, he's went mad, is he?
So don't know. I still like Stone Roses.
Yeah, I still love
it. Yeah. Yeah, I just want real people wearing it, like people who appreciate it and are into their details, they're into like their fabrics and good clothes, to be honest. Like not really, well, there is people out there that I would be happy wearing it, but it's not really something I chase, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a cool way to look at it. I think it's a timeless look. I think this sort of look is never... They were sort of dressing like it. The boys that dressed like this in the 90s are still dressing like that now. You know what I mean? It is a timeless sort of look. I think you've said it to yourself, you stay true to what you actually want to do, and I think that's how you should do it, to be honest with you. To get the best sort of the creative style that you want to do and the pieces that you want to make, I think that's the best way you're going to do it. I mean, I'll say this now on camera, we're live, man. I got it, well, no live. I maybe get associated as Dundee's custom king. I've not made a custom in maybe about 6 months, 7 months, and that's a title that I don't deserve. Unless you prefer to go by the custom queen, but Dundee's custom king is in this room right now. She's sitting with me, and like the stuff she's made, I love that jacket. I've seen how boys have got stuff from you. I love that jacket. I even like that top you've got on now. Is that a one-off, or is this available to buy?
That was one of my it was on the website a few years ago.
Make me one of them.
I could do, yeah.
I want one of them. Is there anybody you want to work with?
Well, we've spoke about doing something in the future.
I'll get you to do something. Did you read my thing in the paper a couple of weeks ago?
I didn't see it, no.
They said, it's framed in the shop, so next time you're in, I'll show you. It says right at the end, it says stuff you're doing, looking forward to. It says I'll be working with Dundee's designer, Kerrie Aldo.
Oh, well, look forward to it.
Yeah, we might actually get some time to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's stuff I would do, but again, it's just been cracking on with my own stuff. Like we've done a wee thing with Hayley a few years back, but it was just like an accessory design. We done a collaboration. Obviously the V&A stuff. I done a coat as well for the McManus galleries, which was like they basically bought a custom coat from me for their archives.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What something you made or just?
Yeah, well, there's a coat that I call like the Kerrie Aldo original, which was like the first like style of wax coat I made.
What labels on it? Orange or white?
They've got a white one.
Oh,
yeah. So they'll be gutted.
Yeah, now they'll know that there's an original label on it.
So no, I called it like that design the original because that was like the first style with like the zip and the flap over it and like just all the certain details that kind of aligned with it. But they bought like a print from like a print designer which had like Dundee kind of landmarks printed on it, so that was used for the lining.
Okay. Sounds actually really cool.
So yeah, that was it's funny because a few things I've done like felt like a fraud. I'm like living in Leeds and doing like
all this Dundee stuff.
But yeah, so that was quite a cool thing to do.
Dundee is a place is like it's got a lot of haters, but like people, like, there is the big support of people who will support you if you try and do something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I always have had quite a good like customer base and like people in Dundee. That kind of never dropped. I always expected it to drop off a bit when we moved away, but it never really did. But I always still made an effort to
keep
like come back up and kind of keep it.
Like I say, it's been a grassroots movement. I've seen it get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you see the labels all the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any brands that you would say inspired you?
I wouldn't say any brand specifically, but obviously like the indie kind of scene. So I suppose, and like I suppose through that, like there's a certain style that I like, but
you've got to be looking as a designer. Like I always say this about everything. Everybody's got to copy somebody's work somehow, or take some sort of inspiration from it somehow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you've got to like look at other people's work and know what's going on.
Like when I was at uni, I used like to be honest, see when I was at college, I didn't really do anything like this style. I was just kind of learning and more focusing on like women's wear stuff. But I don't know, something clicked and I wanted to do like menswear. And I kind of looked into like all like Football Factory and all that type of stuff for like some reference points, and there was always
the
music
style.
things. But then I like to kind of clash it with other influences and that. So I suppose that's like, the style's developed mainly through probably music taste and like stuff I looked into.
Heavily. Like I felt like in the music scene like a hand in a glove.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. Especially the green sort of long cut coats, all that. This side of the Kingsway, as we said earlier on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
is there any other brands you wear apart from your own?
There is, but to be honest, I don't like. I prefer to wear my own coats than that, mainly because if I wear a coat that's not mine, somebody's going to be like, "Oh, did you make that?" And I'll be like, "No." So I don't like when I get caught out like that. I do wear some other brands. I prefer to buy like independent stuff or like from an independent shop. There's a couple of like Manchester brands, like quite like smaller brands, probably a bit more workwear style stuff that I quite like.
That's a good name for it, is it? Like the workwear sort of.
Yeah. Like I quite
style.
like. I've got like a Bape jacket. That I like. That's probably like the only. It's more like an overshirt. That's probably like one of the only ones I wear that isn't mine. But yeah, like I can admire other brands and stuff like that, but I prefer to wear my own coats. And
stuff. As well, is there any brands that you would look at for inspiration?
I try not to be honest. Like there's brands I admire. I always liked the Christopher Rayburn. I don't know if you know of it, but I think the reason I got into that was like I was quite interested in repurposing stuff, like using old stuff to make new stuff.
Okay.
And he done like, you should look it up, like he done a collection, I think it was like his graduate collection, and it was made from like old parachutes, like old military parachutes or something like that.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Like, I've definitely heard about that.
So I quite admire his stuff, and then he's and I always quite like Nigel Caburn as well.
He makes some really cool stuff, man.
So I'd say they stand out. Like quite like some Stone Island stuff, but like more the really design led stuff. But again, I try not to look at stuff too much because I just want to kind of focus on
what you're doing.
Yeah, trying to create new details and stuff.
One of the ones that I'm really a fan of is Album. It's made in Portugal.
No, I do. I like Album as well, actually. I actually got a couple of pairs there, jeans, like they're men's ones, but yeah, I like them. And Folk as well, quite like Folk.
Yeah. They make some like really clean cut, nice stuff.
Yeah, it's well made. Yeah, I do like them.
Right, so if not a lot, like, what would you say to somebody who was trying to start out on their own in the sort of industry that you are in? How would they get to a stage as far as you are, basically? Because the way I look at your brand is like it's a proper, like I keep saying, grass movement, grass roots movement. I've seen that, like every brand that I've ever seen that I've ever worn in the streets ever, I've seen somebody else wearing it first. It's caught your eye somehow, you know what I mean? That's not easy to do. So how would you, like, if somebody was wanting to take inspiration from the Kerrie Aldo story, how would you explain it to them?
Kind of needs to be your passion. I think I understand how certain people would do it a different way, but like I think it's caught the eye because have went straight in with jackets. Like it's people know it's not like easy. It's
found a place for you, sort of. As you said throughout this, like that wasn't what you set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like you ended up like the style, the way the music, the things you were into, all worked out into this. And like you said, you wanted to do menswear.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say like
know what you want to do.
Know what you want to do, yeah, and kind of stick to it. And I don't know.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Come on, big yourself up, Kerrie. You've done some amazing things, man. Amazing things.
No, I don't know. Like, caught us off guard with your question. I don't know what I would say to somebody wanting to start out and do it. Learn how to do it first, basically, because I think sometimes people get in touch, like asking not just how to do it, but or asking me to make them stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like.
You've got years into the craft.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long. Yeah. This isn't something you learn overnight. You know what I mean?
So learn how to do it first, basically, and then go for it.
Learn how to
create your own style, really. Like I know, obviously, like you're saying, everyone's influenced by stuff like that, but
that's the answer, man. That's the answer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so to substitute the trainers, I'm going to ask you for your top 5 bands, because I just know we came up, like I said, we came up in the same streets. It was a heavily music influenced time at the time. You know what I mean? For me, I always say, like, the View changed the city. I don't care what MD says. Even for the fact if you like that band or you don't like that band, it showed everybody that, look, you could fucking do something with your life. And because before the time, it was like everybody was told you can't do nothing.
Yeah, or like even brought more gigs to Dundee as well. Like you had to go. You had to always go to Glasgow or Edinburgh.
Ian Brown was in the city, Kasabian, the Arab Monkeys, all these bands we've never seen before. Life, culture.
Even like the smaller indie bands, like, oh God, a few of them have just disappeared now, but
it's hard to remember them though, is it? Yeah, it really is.
Oh.
The Enemy, I remember seeing The Enemy in the Doghouse. It was epic.
There was a few like, I can't even think off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't think a lot of that would have happened without the View and like the music scene and all the kind of stuff going on at that time.
I don't think Dundee would be the same place if the View never done that.
No,
honestly, I remember it before that, and like it was a negative attitude. You couldn't do anything. I might be wrong, right? But I can't think of anybody for Dundee that done anything in the 90s that was.
I think like the only gig I went to, other than something daft, before that View gig I went to was like the Blue Tones came to Fat Sam's. I seen them there. I think that was like the only indie type.
Like gig that was going on at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure there was, but like I would even been a wee bit younger at that time.
But. Oh, they brought like the Doghouse was like known all over the country. It was like a central hub at the time.
I remember actually going to see the Complete Stone Roses
every Christmas.
Yeah, before the.
I used to go and see them every year till I seen the Stone Roses at Heaton Park, and I was like, "No, I can't do it anymore." Once you've seen the real thing. I suppose
that maybe killed them off when.
It killed them for me. I'm not joking. It did kill them for me.
I actually seen the Complete Stone Roses at Heaton Park like 1 year. That's probably it
was the fun that I need for. Remember back then the Stone Roses were like, you know what I mean? You were never getting to see the Stone Roses. So give us your top 5 bands then.
To be honest, this would probably change like every week, but Stone Roses, probably The Clash, Bob Dylan if I can count that.
Yeah.
Specials, and then
got a wee mix here. You've got folk music with Bob Dylan, you've got a bit of punk with The Clash, the ska with the Specials.
Yeah, I'd probably say Amy Winehouse. If that counts as well. I know it's not really a band, but
no, you know what? She was brilliant.
There's loads of other bands I love, but like that's probably the first 5 that would come to us. Amy
Winehouse is the one you don't really hear about too much now.
I absolutely loved Amy Winehouse. Like, I think like she was quite like she done a couple of like Specials covers and stuff like that, and then like her style with like she wore the Fred Perry shirts and just
do you remember Valerie before she sung it?
Yeah, but see, listening to it now, it's weird. Like I was into the Zootones for a bit actually, but I can't listen to that song now. It's weird.
I loved the Zootones' first album, right? And when the second album came out, I watched this interview with her, and the boy was on about Valerie. He was on about she was going to think I'm madly in love with her and all this stuff. I remember hearing that song and I was alright.
Yeah.
But he apparently got to buy a house just purely off
from
of that.
Yeah, I could believe that.
She transformed that song. Yeah. And even another thing we were going on about The View, I remember, like, see that BBC Proms, when she didn't show up and Kyle came out to do it with Mark Ronson. It was just like, I was at school with that boy.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? It was crazy, man.
I actually like a few, they've done a good few covers as well, like Kyle or The View. Like,
they were always good at covers,
yeah,
to
like
be fair.
that's the cover, Up the Junction, they've done that.
Yeah,
and see when you listen to the original, it's very beige. so slow. It's weird. I always liked that song, but I would probably prefer that. Off
quite quick on the drums, did he?
I prefer that version now.
They were really good at covers.
Yeah.
There's a few covers that were really good at.
Done Take It Easy as well. That was good. I think they've done that.
I seem to remember that you've done someone like you. Remember, like, that was going about for a few years. Remember the Adele cover?
I don't remember that one. But I'm sure he done Take It Easy.
What,
like the Eagles?
Oh, right, yeah.
I think.
He's done a few.
That, yeah. I quite like cover songs though. But yeah, they do have a few good ones.
Is there anything else we go before we go up?
No.
Well, Kerrie, it has been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything you want to say before you want to go? Fucked fast fashion or anything like that?
No, I'm not going to go down that road again.
Down with the Tories.
No, just thanks for having us. And I don't know.
Sweet. If you're watching this and you didn't know anything about Kerrie, I strongly advise that you go and check her out on social media, which would be Instagram, Facebook. You on Twitter?
Yeah.
Check out the clothes, check out the look, everything about it. Like, you will not be disappointed. You can take it from me, somebody who loves their jackets. That do you remember my face when I tried it on?
I think you actually hugged us or something.
So many people have went on about that jacket to me. So many people, a lot of people were like, what was it like now? Like 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, it must be about that, yeah.
It must be, it was long, I can't even remember. But yeah, well, I've tried to get you, there's been a few times I've messaged, I just sort of forget, but it slips my mind. It just reminded me that it's there. That I was trying to get you to make me a red ski jacket. And that's what I'm going to do after the camera goes off. But like I was saying, like, if you're going, check out our stuff, check out the look. I promise you will not be disappointed with it at all. It's just a clean cut, outstanding jacket. What else can I say about the sort of thing? Anything that she would get you to make, it would look outstanding. So check her out, show some love, order a jacket. If you're going to get a custom made, don't go too mad with the ideas. And like I said, let the designer just go with the creative flow. This has been the Dundee Show podcast. Jason, thanks for recording. Kerrie, thank you for coming down and letting me pick your brain. Good night.